Good to see you. It's been a minute. Hi, Harshith.
BM guys, how you guys been? It's been a while for sure. Completely settled in here in Toronto and glad to meet you guys again. Love you all.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
I think you guys were both just getting ready for NFT NYC, weren't you? Last time we spoke.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, I might just jump straight into the intro, and I guess we can go from there. I haven't got too many sort of predefined talking points, other than maybe the sort of pivot, if you like, or redirection into Fortnite. So we'll just see where we end up, I guess, and go from there.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Awesome, no worries. Okay, GM based heads, or as we say in the Based AF Discord, BM. My name is Gerry, and welcome to another Based Space, a safe space for the Based AF community to come together and navigate everything that's crazy in the space. And if you're listening back to this on Twitter or YouTube and you're wondering what Based AF is, well, here's my elevator pitch. Based AF is a modern take on a content creation studio, producing entertaining and thought-provoking content, pushing the limits of human experience and expression by exploring emerging technologies, such as augmented reality, artificial intelligence, Web3 technology, and of course, virtual reality. Navigating a new course where user-generated content and content creators are king, think of Based AF as MTV but for the metaverse. And it's powered by the Based Heads, a set of digital collectibles with untold powers, your virtual backstage pass, where you can star in the action, help drive the narrative, and even share in the spoils. Now, before I pass the mic over to today's co-hosts, here's a quick summary of all the updates from Trashland. So the latest videos to drop, the one from Robin last week was about the metaverse being dead. And it's Robin's take on how the metaverse is in fact not dead, but well and truly alive, and how we can expect a few catalysts to bring it back into sharp focus soon. One of those being the impending launch of Apple's new VR and AR headset, which will no doubt raise a lot of interest. And the other is the approach from Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, how they're going to start sharing the spoils with user-generated content, with their announcement that 40% of all revenue from the game Fortnite will be shared among creators. The creators who are creating content using the Unreal editor for Fortnite. So with that in mind, I think that's a big moment for the whole industry, Web3, gaming, the metaverse in general. So that'll probably be a talking point throughout the show. And I think that means we can expect to see some playable versions of Trashland in Fortnite at some point in the future, which will certainly be exciting. The other video to drop last week was Luke Frank's regular weekly. So it also covered Fortnite and how the International Olympic Committee has announced that the sport shooting will be making up part of the Olympic esports series. And it's going to be held in Singapore in June. And the sports shooting event will take place on a specially designed Fortnite Creative Island and will be fought over by 12 of the top players from the Fortnite Champion Series. So it's a really good video. It then goes on to cover the Olympic esports series in general and how sports are a key use case for AR and VR applications. Really interesting stuff. And one thing I found that was quite telling was that the interest in that video has generated about twice as many views as the previous week's video from Luke, which was around digital sneakers and metaverse fashion. So it goes to show you already that we're starting to get some traction just by slightly sort of changing our focus and targeting Fortnite a bit more specifically. So that's quite interesting. I guess we'll see Fortnite being a key focus for Based AF going forward. Certainly not the only one, but they've definitely realised there's some product market fit there and a massive market to actually go after. So that's quite interesting. Next update, NFT Talent, the NFT conference in Estonia is underway at the moment, and Robin is not only there as a guest speaker, but it appears that he's also the master of ceremonies, at least for one of the 2 days. So good stuff there, Robin. It sounds like there's a few base heads in town and they're having a good time. They're kicking back a few cans of Fraz, and there's 2,000 limited edition runs of that Fraz that are being handed out to attendees at the conference. So that's really clever marketing strategy, and hopefully we might see a few new community members come out of that conference once they're familiar with Robin and the team and what the guys are cooking up at Based AF. So that's quite cool. The next announcement that I wanted to dive into was we're going to have an opening night party at the Shaft, which is the location for the Dildo Dash mini game, which has been built up and ready to go for a couple of months now. So check the details out on the Discord for that. But get ready, because it's happening at 6 p.m. London time this Friday night, and you'll be able to dance the night away under the shadows of the Shaft in a social VR setting, social metaverse setting. So you don't need a VR headset to participate. It can just work through your browser. So it should be a lot of fun. The event's happening in conjunction with our friends from the Broadside NFT collection, and there's going to be a VJ set from Eclectic Method, Vector Meldrew, B2B, Charlie Strafford Rex, and the Broadside 3D based special. So try to get along to that. It's going to be pretty early in the morning for me, so I'll see how I go getting to that one. But hopefully I can drag my ass out of bed, because it should be an awful lot of fun. And the one sort of experience I've had just running around in that environment with Curb was awesome. It's just so much fun being able to run around and run up to someone and start chatting with a voice chat in a social setting. So it should be a whole lot of fun. The event should go for about 90 minutes, maybe a little longer if people kick on afterwards. So it's a great chance for the community to come together in a social metaverse setting. Curb also mentioned that we can expect to see the next iterations of the profile picture and avatar for the base heads to come out. And it sounds like there might be 2 different styles for the community to vote on, but that's yet to be confirmed. So we'll see what comes out this week. And lastly, Tom Letts also floated the idea of starting an informal Base AF monthly book club, where the community could vote on each month's book title, and at the end of the month, a gentle or perhaps heated fireside chat would be open to all based heads, whether they read the thing or not. So that might be another fun thing to do each month, to just hang out in the Discord and shoot the shit with Tom a bit and have a bit of fun and go through a book review at the same time. So yeah, quite a few things have happened in the last week, a bit to dive through there. If you didn't catch last week's space, Curb joined us and dropped a lot of intel and alpha about everything that he's been doing in the background, so that was really interesting. So that's the updates. I might just throw the mic over to yourself there, Michelle, and is there anything that you wanted to cover from your experience with NFT NYC? I believe you were a speaker there.
Yeah, I was a speaker to all 15 people. But it went really well. I had a great time. There were some great speakers. Got to hang out with some good friends from Web3. I missed Harshith's speech, unfortunately. Preparing for my own speech, having my own little meltdown, but
you got through it though, right?
I didn't die, so we're doing good.
So what was the content of your little talk? Actually, how long was the session that you had to speak for?
I had a session.
Okay.
And
I feel like it too.
It does when you're preparing, but when you're up there, it goes way too fast. I actually somehow I think they might have actually cut my time a little short because I had to rush there very quickly. But mine was about how blockchain and NFTs are the next accounting evolution, and that we're at the edge of a new renaissance. And pretty much everything that we know to exist is going to be very different in the future, in every aspect.
So what's your broad thesis there? If you can distill that 10 minutes into 2.
Sorry, I've had pneumonia. My broad thesis is that companies are going to adopt this technology because they have to remain competitive, and eventually they're going to be reduced to equations and programs on the blockchain. So they will pretty much cease to exist, which I thought was very exciting. But
it's definitely going to be a disruption, isn't there, coming forward, especially when you couple that potentially with artificial intelligence and all the change that's going on there.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you have all of this coming in, and where are we going to get income from in the future, right? And if we're getting income from providing content and creative things, and creative handmade goods or handmade design goods, then what do we need these intermediary corporations for? We don't. They're just making money off of us. They're the takers in the makers equation. So it's actually, that's really surprising to me, actually, that Fortnite is going to do the creator royalties. I guess they've kind of seen the writing on the wall as well, that this is coming, that if they don't adapt, they're going to become obsolete.
Yeah, it's definitely smart play by them for sure, and kind of gives them first mover advantage in a way. It's been kind of interesting. I had a friend send me some quotes from Tim Sweeney that he's mentioned over the last sort of year or so, and he's sort of saying here that Epic Games advocates incremental approach to opening up the metaverse from the current framework of closed platforms. Then he goes on to reference Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, etc. It does make a lot of sense because these platforms are so massive, but generally they're pretty extractive, and I think they realise that these worlds are just going to get so vast that it's almost too much for them as an in-house team to just keep creating content for, when you can actually mobilise the players to generate stuff and just keep that sort of virtuous sort of cycle going, where you've got that sort of positive feedback loop where players are rewarded for creation, and that drags in more players and retains more players. So pretty clever concept, and I just wonder how much other companies will take before they adopt that sort of model. Otherwise, they're going to start seeing that they're going to start going the way of Facebook, where they slowly become more irrelevant over time.
Happened very quick. I'm actually really surprised that Fortnite did it, but it's super smart of them, super smart, because there's only so much money that they can get out of it going forward, right? So they are going to be becoming the first move advantage. Is going to give them another rush of a lot of revenue, even though they're paying out revenue in certain ways, but saving, like you said, on the development costs. But like some of these closed systems, a lot of these shareholders are probably going to fight tooth and nail before they're going to want to give up their profit. That's because these corporations are subject and beholden to their shareholders. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see my thesis come true. I've been talking about it for like 10 years. So yes, it's finally happening.
Yeah, I guess it's the banking sector that I think is the one that's dragging its feet. It might be the financial layer that's actually the last layer that really comes across, and obviously Bitcoin's been a big thesis of hard money and sort of anti-fiat. So we'll see though, with these banks starting to collapse, maybe the wheel might be turning.
Well, the thing is that a lot of people don't see is that the financial corporations, which insurance companies actually hold a lot more money than banks do, with a lot more money than banks do around the world, and they have been implementing blockchain technology for close to a decade now. So all the rails, all of the payment rails, all of the settlement rails, all of the reconciliation rails of them, the way companies talk to one another, they've been building, and they're already happening. And a lot of those are already in place, but you don't see those on the consumer side, right? We only see like the actual banks and like these finance investor people, but the back end is really what runs the world, and they've been using it for quite a while because they have to.
I guess it's out of sight, out of mind in a way, isn't it? See, I wasn't even aware of a lot of that. So is that using like XRP and stuff like that, or other technologies?
They're using a bunch of different technologies. A lot of them don't want to have their stuff out on like any sort of public domain, so they have like private rails and private blockchains. Like IBM has had a private blockchain for like I think 8 or 9 years. They've been offering blockchain services, blockchain as a service, I guess. And like but they have to, right? Because they have because otherwise you have a whole like floor of accountants. We're talking like hundreds of people, not just like a couple people. Like these big companies have hundreds of people that do like data entry things and like things that a computer and a blockchain can make unnecessary. And like up until this point, they've been just firing people because they have to make their numbers. Because if they don't make their earnings per share numbers when their quarterly calls come, it can destroy your whole company just by public sentiment, or rich people feelings is what they like to joke about. So they get up and they get close to this place and they see that their earnings aren't where they need them to be, and they'll just fire entire departments. Which you can only do so much. Like you can only take on the work of so many and if workers are rebelling against it. So now they have to do the technology to become more efficient, and they are working on that. They have to work on that, and so this is what we're seeing now is these shifts into these other things, right? Because it's all accounting. People,
Yeah.
Everything is accounting. Inventory is accounting. Sales are accounting. Everything's accounting.
It's interesting, this whole new paradigm that we're moving into. I can tell, like, just a lot of people, their heads are spinning in general as to where this is all going, and you know, where do you focus yourself just to try and keep yourself relevant going forward. Hey Harshith, I was just wondering, do you have any thoughts around Fortnite in general and what they're doing with the UEFN? I'm not sure if you're much of a gamer historically or not.
Honestly, not much of a gamer actually. Just been playing like GTA when I was a kid and everything. But because right now you have to learn this, right? It's like if you're not equipping yourself with all of this information, we're actually just going obsolete. So I think it's just time that we go through everything that's happening around us, including AI, Fortnite, because I'm also a part of Based and we're doing a space and everything. So it's important for us to honestly know what's going on. So yes, I've been watching a few podcasts about this, and there are like mixed views that I've got from this. And plus, also what you mentioned about Luke's video there, it was a hit for sure, because there are a lot of gamers. Honestly, there are a lot of gamers. A lot of my friends are gamers, and now I think I actually felt it was like it was not even like a thing when you can actually make money out of it, and that is becoming a part of work. Like I'm still not able to wrap my head around like how is that work, because but then when you talk to them, they have a whole different perspective. They say it's a skill-based thing. And there's a whole different segment when people also talk about this being a leveling up game, and this can be like a universal basic income. So this is I actually want your thoughts on this as well, because I'm just wandering around on the internet, on Twitter, everywhere I see everyone's talking about this and universal basic income, that this is like a baseline income you can generate through gaming. So everyone talks about like gaming can be like the bridge, like the bridge into like properly into blockchain. So once you're into gaming, you get the universal basic income, and then you're messing around on the ecosystem, right? So this is like whole different perspectives that I've been getting as well. But if I have to talk about AI in general, there was one other book that I was reading as well, which is called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, where he talks about like simple actions doing every single day compounds over a period of time. Like we already know about that 1 penny, right? The 1 penny doubles every day, and then on the 30th day it becomes like $3 million. Like the power of compounding, basically. Now I'm just thinking about this plus mixing it with AI. Like imagine like there's one person who's not using AI, who doesn't give a shit about AI. He doesn't even like look at Twitter. He's not understanding. He's not learning. He's not keeping with what's going on with all the information that's around. And there's someone else who's using all that info and gaining all the information, and is knowledgeable in using those prompts to all of these AI tools that exist. And now over a period of like 5 to 10 years, I'm really, we know how much of a difference that would be, right? And the people who are not using it can also be replaced and even go unemployed. Maybe that's when we'll get like universal basic income. But I'm pretty sure in the next 10 years, the gap between the haves and the have-not will widen for sure. Like it's gonna be a bigger graph. So yes, this is what I've been thinking, guys. I know I was just putting pointers everywhere, but there were whole different things that I wanted to, just throw out there.
That's kind of the thing. Like it is so hard to know where to focus at the moment, and my head's just spinning constantly with all this stuff. And I'm not a gamer at all really these days. I haven't played games for 10 plus years, so it's been a learning curve for me just trying to get my head around. I wasn't even really aware what Epic Games and Fortnite were doing. If it wasn't for sort of Robin getting it onto my radar through Based, I would have missed out on that entirely. But it does seem like a huge moment where a more traditional Web 2 sort of based company is just throwing the doors open towards an open metaverse. And while it's not blockchain today, I see no reason why it can't be blockchain based later on if it makes sense. And it's going to take the market forces to actually drive that. So at the moment, gamers and in general really don't like NFTs. It would seem, at least in the West. But if you suddenly start to get millions and millions of users who have made all these maps and in-game items in Fortnite, and then Fortnite say, hey, we're going to let you port some of this across to another game or whatever it is. We've just got to flick the switch to make these NFTs and run over some sort of blockchain infrastructure. That could be the thing that turns the tide, where suddenly that stigma around it is gone, and people then start to actually see by using the blockchain tech and seeing the benefits that it provides. That could be that sort of game-changing moment, pardon the pun, where we do start to get mass adoption all of a sudden, because I think it's one of those things. It's just going to be gradual, and then suddenly there'll be just a deluge of people who want to use Web3 technology because it just makes sense.
Well, I
Correct. Now you also want to add in sneakers into this because we're anyways talking about gamers. Can you add in sneakers into this? Because once there are sneakers, you're already playing the game, and now we have digital collectibles, dot swoosh, and everything that Nike is doing with Artifact. Imagine wearing your sneakers in Fortnite. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I mean, skins are already a huge thing now, aren't they, guys? Just in gaming. I think there was one. Was it Fortnite? I can't remember what the game was. It might have been Counter-Strike or something. There was like a $400,000 skin just in the last month.
Yeah, the CS:GO. Yes, Counter-Strike, a global assessment. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That's NFT money. Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, these are all when the switch happens, when Fortnite goes to blockchain, because it will, because of accounting, they won't know. People aren't going to know. They're just going to know that they have more functionality.
Yeah.
So I think Bitcoin and blockchain, just like people that hate AI, you interact with AI. I think on average once a day. We interact with websites and do other things, but we didn't know it. So
yeah, I mean, we've all been using Siri for what, like a decade or something?
Yeah, Google has AI, TikTok has AI, all of these things have AI. But it wasn't brought to the forefront. And the same thing with World of Warcraft and all of those things. And the sneakers and all of those. People aren't going to know. They're just going to know, oh.
And not just that.
Huh?
Yes, sorry to interrupt. So I was just saying, just to add to your point, and not just TikTok and Siri, even airplanes, right? We don't know how to fly airplanes, so we still travel.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things and ways that AI touches us that we didn't realize until, and we still don't know. When you start taking out all the things and all the ways, medically, medical transcriptions, medical billing, and the MTA, our transport system, that all uses AI. So that's what's going to happen with blockchain. And it's going to happen from below, right? Everyone's back when the internet came on, everyone's oh, the internet, who wants a web page? Who needs a web page? But then everyone just started having web pages. And you were talking about the universal basic income before. One of the things that's going to happen when I talk about large companies being reduced to smart contract, basically, it's the way that, look at the way that Facebook makes money, right? Facebook, we don't get a free service. We pay for that service with our data. So if we could have a way, instead of the marketers paying Facebook, they start paying us for our data. This is the way that we start making income. All of these companies that make tons of money off of us, without a lot of our knowledge, even. We harness that and take that back. I mean, that's tons of money. It's tons of money. We're just removing that Facebook link in that chain from that whole marketing loop. Same thing for advertising and all of those. You're looking at the way that I look at blockchain, and I like to say remove the middleman. But a lot of people don't really, they're oh yeah, removing the middleman. But then you really start thinking about it, right? You don't need a mortgage broker. You don't need a banker. We can transfer money all in the wallet. We don't need all that. You can do loans, you can do insurance, you can do all of these things without these middle people making all this money. And the same thing with gaming, right? Traditionally in gaming, for those skins, they have designers in the back that are making the skins, and then they bring them skins, and then they offer them to people to pay, like for premium skins, or you find it and then you can sell it to people. Because people are lazy and people pay for convenience. Like, I don't want to work 90 hours to get this plate of armor. I can afford it, whatever, I'm just going to freaking buy it. So, like, those type of things. And then they're going to outsource that to, like, say, even like a base heads, like our designers design our little skins with our people. And then they don't have it. They have a big variety of skins. They're running through their thing, keeping all of their consumers happy. But they aren't the ones providing it.
Yeah, and they can probably own the marketplace and monetize through, revenue, through fees and maybe even bake in royalties as well to help keep that circular economy going and protect the people that have made the intellectual property, if you like, of whatever the skin is, just to keep the flywheel spinning, so to speak. And they just sit in the middle of it and pick up a shitload of fees, basically.
Yeah. But eventually, because fees are going to have to keep, because the market, just like royalties went away in the marketplace, now everyone demands zero royalties basically when they're trading stuff. That will happen to companies as well. So, like, we're going to be like, oh yeah, Fortnite, whatever, is going to take 10%. Just like Twitter's going to take 10% of their creator royalties. But people aren't going to be okay with that over time, because another competitor's going to come up and be like, yo, you come hang out with me, I'll do 8% royalties. And then, then it keeps getting down.
I guess it's just the network effects of whatever the service is that's probably the moat, at least initially. But you're right, ultimately it probably is a race to the bottom, like we've seen with royalties and NFTs.
There's a reason to pay for all this freaking stuff. Like, there's no reason for it. The only reason is to have people have jobs. Really.
Yeah.
But they don't need jobs if the functions are still happening, right? If they can still get the marketing information from you that they need to get you to advertise product, then they don't need those other companies. It's going to save them money too. So it's like, it's this whole flywheel that's happening, and it's so freaking cool to see it and have it playing out.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I'm kind of curious as the next couple of months roll out with potentially Apple dropping their VR and AR headset. They still have that very fierce Web 2 model baked into the system to the point where they try and deplatform you for selling any NFTs within your app or your game, and they make it incredibly hard to even get onto the platform if you're any way Web3 related. But as we're seeing right now with the Futureverse and their version of the FIFA AI League, and Epic Games themselves got booted, I believe, from Apple. So, they're trying to rule with an iron fist, and that might work for a period of time until you get a better alternative to spring up. So it's going to be really interesting, and I think a lot of people in our space, we're obviously enthusiasts and are pretty early to tech. It's going to be a bit of a sort of a conundrum for us to work out, do we want to buy an Apple VR headset? Because it's probably going to be amazing technology, knowing Apple, and we'll all want to get in there and use it, but they're actually kind of, it's almost counter to the ethos most of us have with trying to have an open metaverse and, decentralization and democratization of all these platforms.
Yeah, I mean, well, think about this. Think about how much kickback Oculus got when Facebook bought them. And it became Facebook Oculus. And I know people that still will never buy an Oculus. It's just because of the fact that you have to sign in your Facebook account.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, Apple's a little different because Apple's fans are very, very dedicated.
Yes.
And there's stuff just works. Like, I'm not an Apple fan personally, but I have to say that their stuff just works together.
Yeah, I think once you're on that train, it's super hard to get off it too. You sort of get their hooks into you. You've got your iTunes store and your whole history of MP3s you paid for, and all your subscription services and everything.
That's how they make their money, and then they sell that to people. That's also how they make their money.
Yeah.
So, but that's not going to fly going forward, right? When people start getting a taste of this other stuff and this other things that they want to do, then Apple's going to have to get their shit together and start playing with others in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the 30% fees that they charge for anyone that sells stuff, it just seems incredibly excessive, really. That will have to get lowered if they want to retain users over time, you would think.
Yeah, I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying get as much money as they can, as quick as they can to build the offers. Because I mean, any sensible business person could see that's not going to work going forward in the next 5 years, I would say, personally. But if I were them, I would be trying to fill my coffers with as much cash as I could right now, and then trying to find other ways to bring it in, because they're not going to be able to maintain that going forward. I mean, maybe they will. Maybe they'll have like this like special little group of people that talk to one another. But I think that because of the fact that we have so many people crowdsourcing all of this magic that's happening, like with the AI right now, like people are building algorithms and all this stuff. And I mean, you see what happens when you get this mass of people together to come up with these ideas and build these things. That's what, that's what's going to drive us forward. I mean, that's going to outperform a huge dev group every time.
Yeah, you can't really compete with what's in the end, especially once you get that community involvement behind it to the point where it's just gathers momentum. And clearly that's what's happening with a lot of the open source AI stuff. We've seen it with Linux becoming, I think, the most prevalent operating system in the world. Like, I believe most of the web servers around the world still run on open source software that's been battle tested by thousands of developers looking at every single line. So it does feel like there's a big shift. And it was interesting in Robin's video about the metaverse being dead. He did sort of draw that correlation directly between Epic and Apple, almost like the battle lines are being drawn for the next great tech war. So, it's going to be really fascinating to see how that plays out. Even Google's been getting disrupted by Bing with their AI. So, I mean, it's so hard to know where to look at the moment.
We have to remember Google's also an Apple competitor.
Yeah.
Because of the Android phone. So,
absolutely.
And Apple, they're saying that Google is not going to be on the new phones. Google's not going to be on the Samsung. It's not going to be Android operating system. It's going to be the Microsoft operating system.
Really?
Which I will say that I used to have a Microsoft phone back in like 2009, and the operating system on that was stupendous. It was far and above the Apple, far and above the Android, far and above any phone that I've ever had. They didn't have the App Store or the applications to back it. I think that's why I didn't catch on as much. But like, it's instead of scrolling side to side to get to your apps, you scroll up and down. It's just one long thing. And it was so easy, so nice. Like, I was so efficient on that thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the best tech that actually is out, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, BlackBerry was great tech. But I will say that Apple did in the smartphone world that we live in, right? Like the Apple, or whatever, almost everyone's introduction to the smartphone back then. And it really made it mainstream. So I'm wondering if they're going to replicate that success with this VR headset.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, is this going to be the thing that onboards a lot of people into just, more immersive spaces to begin with? Because, to be honest, for most people, VR is still a massive leap. I'm not sure what like the global headset adoption rate is, but I'm guessing it's pretty low.
It still kind of sucks. I mean, I love my headset, and it's great, and I love it for what it is. And I'm a few generations back in technology for mine too. I haven't tried Pro or anything, but like, I mean, it still makes you dizzy. It's still, some people still can't use it. It's still limited on a lot of things. Like, my biggest thing was, even though I had this great headset, I still had to hook it to a computer to do most of the things that I want to do, and my computers aren't souped up enough for that. So like, it's still that kind of problem that Apple might be able to solve because they're putting the two chips in. I don't know. We'll see. I hope so.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I mean, apparently, like, the rumors are it's going to be about $3,000 price point, which is really high. I would think they're going to have to make big losses on that hardware for a long time to get the traction they probably need to get that return on investment ultimately. And maybe they gouge you through the software, the games, and whatever. That's how they make their money. But that might be. I think that's something that's going to take a while. That's why I'm not quite as bullish on the thesis that Robin shares, that he thinks that this is the death of the smartphone. And I still think that's got a few runs left to make. It's just based on that price point. Like, it's hard for people to afford a decent smartphone at the moment, let alone a VR headset that's 2 or 3 times the cost.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also have people that aren't going to buy an Apple headset, that are going to give up their...
Yeah, well, that's right. I'll be very conflicted when it comes out, because I'll be wanting to get into it, even if it's just for my own knowledge and understanding in the context of what we're doing now. But I've not owned it. I think I've owned one Apple product in my life. It was one of the original iPods, and since then I've not really delved into that ecosystem.
I have both. I have both. I have Apple. There are influences I have Apple. But I have phones with these, and I have an Apple. Look, I have an iPad. The iPad really is unsurpassed. I have a lot of other tablets, but the iPad is unsurpassed. And like, I still would not make an Apple phone my main phone. Never. Actually, I won't say never, but up to this point, never.
Yeah.
Time all. Sorry, I said.
That's all good. All good. No worries.
I mean, Apple people are always like, you just need to try it. I'm like, I have them. I have all of them. And Apple's
I guess you're probably one of the few people that has a decently educated opinion then, because it's it's a massive debate, the whole Apple versus Android thing. At least it has been. It's almost like asking about pineapple on a pizza, I think. So and that divides a lot of people as well. I'm definitely in the pineapple camp myself. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how you can not. Pineapple, yeah, we go. That's good.
I love pineapple, but I like pepper.
Before I continue, a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS.
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
So, are you going to be going to the party at the Shaft, Michelle? I don't know what time of day it is for you when it's on.
Yeah, I'd like to be there. I haven't looked at the time yet, but I'd like to be there.
Yeah, sweet. That should be good. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a VR headset compatible or not. Have you guys used Metaverse at all? I'm pretty sure it's written in Metaverse.
Oh, if it's in Metaverse, I think it's compatible.
Yeah. Yep. I accessed it just straight through my PC browser, and it worked fine. But I wasn't sure if you can run around with an actual VR headset on as well. Sorry, Michelle. You started to break up a bit there. Just sounds like you're dropping out. I'm not sure. You might want to jump out and jump back in again. Perhaps see if that helps at all. How about you, Harshith? Have you used Metaverse at all before? Have you done anything in the Metaverse environment?
So I've actually met the Monoverse guys at NFT NYC in the Cyber Brokers event. It was pretty amazing there. They were actually just sharing a lot of stuff about how they're doing with base as well. And I'm pretty sure Michelle wasn't able to speak because AI wasn't letting us. We're talking about all this futuristic stuff, and AI doesn't want us to know how it's going to replace us.
It's gotten that smart already. It's starting to censor us.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And do you guys also know about the DAN prompt? The DAN prompt?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
So basically, there was this prompt which I found like a few weeks ago, and the prompt is for ChatGPT. Yep. So the prompt is basically for like role play, right? So when I try to do like funny stuff with like ChatGPT, like to give like let's say like dark psychology tricks or something, deliberately typing something that ChatGPT wouldn't say. So when I did that first, it never answered. But then after that, I found this role play mechanism. So I was just trying to say, "Hey ChatGPT, act like you are so and so," and respond to me like that. And that didn't work either. It worked for a certain time. After that, it got even smarter. So there's this whole prompt. So basically, Dan stands for do anything
Right.
now, and it's a whole prompt. I'm actually going to share it with you guys in the Discord
Great.
maybe. And then it's basically like a jailbreak. It's like a jailbreak prompt, and it just constructs in such a way because even if its knowledge is just limited to 2021, it still tries to connect the dots and take all the inputs that we give and give back inputs on that, and it's actually a lot better using it on like GPT-4. So,
Was GPT-4, I think, wasn't that more up to date than the previous version, or is that still limited to 2021 as well?
no, it's all limited to 2021 actually. But there are plugins. There are plugins with which we can actually connect with the internet. But this one is like crazy. So like Dan unleashed, it says ChatGPT successfully jailbroken, and then you can ask it everything, and it just gives it to you in such a way. But there's one caveat there. One of my friends, she tried. I don't know what she tried to type in. She tried to type in like some shady stuff, just going to the extent that she kind of got blocked from ChatGPT.
Wow.
So, they know what we're doing with it. So, just have to be careful. But then we'll have to use it. It's just about knowing how to use these tools right now. And this was one that I wanted to share.
Oh, that's good to know. I mean, like to your point earlier, actually, it's so important. I think that anyone that's in this space tries to get their head around some of this tech, even if it's just at a fundamental level. So you know a little bit more about what's coming down the pipeline, and at least you're a little less shocked when you lose your job. You know what I mean? Like, because there's going to be so much disruption over the next, probably 5 years or even less. It's just moving so darn quickly. So, is there any other AI tools or tricks and tips that you've found, Harshith? What else have you been using?
Yes. So, as you guys have seen, I've already been posting a lot of content. It's like a 30 days challenge that I took, just to keep pushing out the content, because now I understood that media is a very important thing right now, because personal branding, it's all about personal branding 2023 and moving forward. We'll have to brand ourselves. We have to treat ourselves like businesses, because when we should understand that we're actually going back to our primal days. So I've been listening to Nawal Ravikant's podcast where he talks about this concept where we're going back to our primal days. Remember when we were we had our own land, we were doing our agriculture, we were trading with our neighbors for the food. And it's basically like Hollywood, right? We take on projects, we work on them, and then we move on to another. And it's like a whole ecosystem that we built for ourselves. And here, personal branding is very, very important. And there was, let me find this for you guys. There was one prompt generator which I picked. And I also started to, just take my health a little more seriously, just working out a little bit. So I wanted a nice, complete workout plan with everything. Like with the diet, with the groceries, it gives you every single thing to the minutia, everything what you ask for. And the prompt is, it's not a prompt, it's called snackprompt.com. Snack prompt. So it's a website where there are a bunch of prompts, and then I tried, I went to the personal trainer prompt, and it gave me like a whole plan for the next 4 weeks. And if you even ask it to make like groceries under a certain budget, it does that for you, and how to cook those. And in the end, it also gives you like motivational quotes, which was a little funny. But yes, I think it's just about acting right now, just implementing these and moving forward.
Has it been working for you, like this new regime? I mean, obviously you've just relocated to a new city. So perfect time to start with a clean slate, I guess, and try something new. And how have you found that process, sort of having an AI guide your every sort of daily life kind of decisions?
Yeah, I think it's actually been great. A lot of books even, so a lot of concepts which I might not understand. I just ask her to summarize those concepts and just go deeper into it and ask for like different perspectives. So I don't know how the way my brain works is kind of like with ADHD. I don't know if I have ADHD, but it's like I hop onto like different things and then try to use them like a puzzle, like Lego blocks, and then do that. So for people who think in this way, I think it's very nice to use these AI tools and these one-click personal trainers. There are a lot of tools right now, but one thing that I understood right now, it is just about implementation, because Even with like auto GPT can it's not at its peak right now, but it's still able to do its own stuff. So I think what differentiates people in the next 10 years, the knowledge is everywhere. Everyone's got the knowledge. Everyone has all these tools, even for free. All these music tools to create music, everything. But the only thing that differentiates is us actually using these tools and creating an output. Unless we create an output, there's nothing going on. It's just like the saying, right? A man who doesn't read it's no different from a man who cannot read. So I think it's the same goes with AI as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you've got to find a way to output it into something useful at the end of the day. Otherwise, you're just filling your head with knowledge that you're not being able to use anywhere. That's pretty interesting. It was kind of reminded me of a YouTube video. I think someone posted it into the Base AF Discord. I think that's how I came across it. But it was, I think it was the editor for Airac, the popular YouTuber, and he did a little social experiment video where he, it was pretty loosely done, but I think he had an AI, tell him what to do for 100 hours and did all this weird stuff. And it was telling him like, get up, have some water, get up at sunrise and see the sunrise, do exercise, and then had him doing these other crazy things like bungee jumping and anything to get your heart rate up. So pretty interesting. A lot of it was like a bit unrealistic, but it still does get you thinking. And yeah, this snack prompt sounds really interesting. So is that just within a smartphone app, or is it just a web page? How do you use that?
So I just found it today. It's actually just a website.
Okay.
It's just a website, and I think the best prompt is basically the personal trainer prompt. That's why it blew up on Instagram.
Yep.
So all the personal training prompts who are also like doing like AI videos. So I think that's why it blew up. But there are more prompts as well. I haven't explored a lot of prompts, but for like personal training, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's certainly good as a creative tool too. I've used a little bit of it just for some of the fun stuff I've been trying to make with AI and using the voice into the stuff, and it just does unleash like whole new creative avenues for you, which is certainly pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. So wow.
And one more thing, if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Gerry,
Totally.
So, you've seen all the reads that I've been making, right? Like videos. Before when I was doing it, I was a little lazy because I didn't want to take the whole script and sum it up for LinkedIn post and YouTube title, YouTube description.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So I create the script and I just add it in there. It creates everything. I just copy paste and boom. So now the thing is, with these AI tools, if I'm still slacking, the problem is with me. It's not with the tech. So we're living in the modern renaissance, right? So we have to use the tech and just keep doing things. So yeah, that's my last take on it, Gerry.
So with that last comment, you were just saying that you paste your script in. So what are you putting that into ChatGPT, or is it some other app?
ChatGPT itself. So one thing, Gerry, is all of these apps, they honestly just use the OpenAI backend itself, right? So with my script right now, let's give you an example here with the one that I posted. I said, convert this into Instagram caption, Twitter tweet, LinkedIn post, YouTube title, and description.
Okay.
And it gives it in a robotic way, but I changed it into my own though.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, I really need to start doing that myself, because I totally share your pain, like trying to, these different social media platforms. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I've just almost given up on the others. It's just Twitter and YouTube for me. But like you said, it's because I am being lazy. I'm not harnessing some of this AI where I should be. So, and I guess that's the whole knowledge is power thing, isn't it?
Correct.
Getting across what's out there and trying to spend a little bit of time to learn how it all works. So, should be good.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Are you going to be going to the party around the shaft on Friday night, Harshith?
Yes, definitely. I'd be there. Yeah, for sure, I'd be there.
Fantastic. Well, we've got a few listeners in the crowd. Does anyone want to come up and have any thoughts around, the current state of affairs with everything that's happening in this crazy moment that we're in with the emergence of the open metaverse, user-generated content through Fortnite, everything that we're seeing with AI? There's just so much going on. If you do, feel free to just pop your hand up and we'll bring you up to speak. Just going to quickly have a look over my notes and see if there's any other points to touch on that we haven't really covered already.
Harshith, I really like what you shared there, right? I was always wondering about how would this work, like how would the universal basic income work? Because a lot of people say that our economy is a positive sum game. It's not a zero sum game. But I'm still stuck on how it works, right? Because the way I see it is most of the NFTs are basically it's like a casino, right? It's basically zero sum. One guy loses, the other guy gains. With even with the Peep coin, Pepe meme coin, and everything, right? All of these. So I felt it was a zero sum game, but then your one statement, right? Future forward companies will be reduced into smart contracts. That's a very powerful statement, and then you start thinking about it, right? Instead of Facebook taking our data and them getting paid, we get paid for us giving our data by ourselves. So yes, that's profound. And once you start thinking in that direction, we get a lot of ideas itself.
Yeah, there's a few things out there already that are trying to do that. Have you used the Brave browser at all? They've got a token called the Basic Attention Token, and that was the whole concept behind that. I don't think it's really taken off at all. I've been using Brave for 2 or 3 years, and I've not even claimed the tokens because I can't be bothered. But I think you're right. I think it needs to be some of these bigger companies that sort of shift into this direction before we start to really get anywhere, because it's so hard to take on some of these behemoths without these network effects to begin with. It's sort of like decentralized streaming platforms, decentralized social media. I'm actually kind of bearish on it in the short term, because you really need someone like Facebook, or Twitter's probably the one that will do it, that they actually make things a bit more decentralized and democratized, and make it a fairer playing field, and actually a more sustainable model in the long run. It's much harder to get disrupted if you're getting those network effects and sharing the spoils with the users. Incentivize them to come back and keep creating content and using the platform. See Michelle trying to join us again on stage. I don't think it's happening for her at the moment, unfortunately.
I made it. I did it.
Okay, cool. Well done, because it's not saying that you've made it to me. It just says that you're a listener. But anyway, I can hear you.
It's all that matters. Thank you, Harshith. Yeah, I'm glad. Like, that's why I love talking about this stuff, and that's why I was so passionate about talking at NFT NYC, even though I about had a connection fit. The cool thing is that you go back and think about companies. The exchange of money is an exchange of value, and exchange of value for services, right? And if we can get the services that these companies are creating for us down into a smart contract or some sort of function, an automated function, or a much more streamlined situation, then we don't need those companies. Like, we don't need a Facebook. We don't need any of these things. We just need the services they provide, the platforms that they provide. So, people have a really hard time thinking about our world without these corporations. But we've lived without these corporations before. Not like a couple hundred years ago. Not even that long ago, really. So, like you said, we're going a bit more feral and back to the basics of, what makes us human. Because right now we kind of operate like robots, really, a lot of us, in a lot of our daily jobs, especially the corporate jobs. I would go in and I would work on some spreadsheets and then go home. And it's soul-sucking. It's horrible. And it's going to free people up because, there's a nerd for everything. There's a nerd for everything. And what if the guy that's working down at the grocery store as the cashier is actually profoundly nerdy for asphalt and makes this amazing road thing in chemistry because he had the time to sit and think about it and explore it. You look at TikTok and you see all these people with these armchair academics, right, that have studied these things and studied just weird shit. And it's really going to be cool to be able to harness our brains, our collective brains, for.
Yeah, I think micro communities might be massive going forward. There's something for everyone on the internet, and that asphalt guy down at the store, he might find there's 1,000 other asphalt guys around the world he would never meet otherwise. Yes. But suddenly they can create something together.
Yes. And Like, just being able to have that time to do it, I mean, that's astounding.
That's true too, yeah. I guess it's scary. People don't know how they're going to make money in the meantime, and that's the real unknown. And whether it's universal basic income or grinding in Minecraft or whatever it ends up being, it's going to be... What was that? Sorry, Chief?
Yeah, what happens to all of these office buildings? Because I'm right now here in downtown Toronto, and this office building right in front of me is completely empty. Like there's no one. There are so many monitors. I wish I could just go sneak in and just get a couple of monitors and a nice armchair for myself, but there's no one there. Like, what's going to happen to all of these buildings all around the world?
Think
like
about
those buildings, I am so confused.
Think about how many
have a look at China
that are homeless. Like, there's like 5 times more empty space in the world or empty buildings in the world than we have homeless people. Like, why do we have homeless people when we have entire malls empty? Like, that's the thing, right? Because we have, as a world, as a collective species, we have enough resources for everybody to be able to have clean water, for everyone to eat, for everyone to have housing. Like, we have those resources. The problem is these people are hoarding these things for whatever, because it's the game of money. But like, we've got
this brings me to a book. I have to hop in. Please. Sorry to interrupt. I have to hop in. Yeah, please. So this the exact same thing, Michelle. You guys know Buckminster Fuller, right?
Yes.
Buckminster Fuller. So he wrote about this book called The Grunge of Giants, and grunge stands for gross universal cash heist. Yeah. So that's got the concept, Michelle. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like, thank you. I appreciate that, because I can never remember titles of books. So I appreciate you for always interrupt me for that stuff. But like it's stupid. Like, like, everyone should be able to have some food. Like, whether they're eating prime Wagyu steaks is, that's something else. But like, everyone should be able to get food. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And if everyone could eat, then maybe the asphalt dude sitting down at the supermarket bagging your groceries, if he didn't have to work 3 jobs, he could have time to work on the asphalt. Like, Yeah,
I mean, it must be acute. That must be so obvious where you are in New York City right now since COVID and the extreme rental prices and housing prices. It must be quite profound, that reality that you're seeing on a daily basis. I mean,
I drive by
most of the Western world is similar, but yeah, it's crazy.
Completely empty skyscrapers. When I drive down when I drive down the LIC, I just one after one, just completely empty skyscrapers, just completely empty. Just because they can sit on.
We've had a lot of that in Australia for decades, with just malinvestment and these rental properties being Chinese investment vehicles basically, and just pumping our own economy pretty much. But it doesn't lead to great outcomes in the short term. And I don't want to sound too cynical and whatnot, but it is a pretty scary world out there, and I kind of feel like there won't be much change, to be frank, until the baby boomers start to die off. We have that huge drop off in demographics, and there's got a lot of headwinds globally at the moment where we're headed. A lot of these baby boomers are going to be in hospitals soon, and we won't be ate to support them. I don't know how it's all going to work.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to support them? Like, we had my mother-in-law, and thank God she was on Medicaid, and we put things in trusts and everything. Because if we didn't put things in the trust, Medicaid requires you to pay, like, sell houses, sell all assets, sell everything before they will pay. And you know how much the nursing home costs here? It costs
it's insane.
$6,000 a month for the nursing home, right?
It's just nuts.
And for convalescent care, it was $2,700 a day.
Makes you question, like, what are our governments even doing for us as a society anyway? Like,
well,
I don't know. Trying not to get too negative, but
this is why I got into blockchains to begin with, because, like I said, all of these middlemen. I mean, I can go into this for a long time, but when I say middlemen, I'm also talking about governments. Like, I'm not saying just corporations. Governments, their entire function could be put on a blockchain, including taxes and distribution of those taxes and all of those things. And you could vote. If you did it electronically, you could have different tiers of voting. Like, you could vote in your neighborhood for things, and then you could vote in your district for things, and then your city, and then your county. You know what I mean? Like you can we could have this level.
Make them all DAOs, with funds in a smart contract that gets voted on. It's like, well, everyone has that not in my backyard approach too, so it sort of doesn't work when everything's nationalized to that sort of broader level. But if you've got a local DAO and it's like, well, we can only pave 3 of the 5 roads, we need to work out which ones. I don't know. We couldn't get to that point one day. Who knows?
Well, look at it this way. When you have, so you have taxes taken out, right? So say that you have, 20% of every dollar that you make goes to taxes. Now, in the United States, you have your 401k. So whenever you start a new job, you're like, where do you want your 401k to go? And you could say, okay, I want 10% to go here, 10% to go here, and so on. Well, what if you did that with your taxes and said, I really value the arts. I want some of my money to go to the arts. I really value intelligent, walking among intelligent people. I want schools to be funded. And when you have everybody doing that, you can have a certain amount that goes to waste removal and things of that nature that cover that. But then you can vote with your dollars, right? Then you're, some districts will have amazing schooling and, you might want to move to that district.
I wonder if this is all going to actually happen in our lifetime. We're going to have centralized digital currencies at some point, clearly, but there's no reason why you can't actually make it, a lot more programmatic and make a lot more sense. But it's going to be, how do you unwind where we're at? That's the bit I can't get my head around.
It's probably going to happen very quickly. It's going to happen very, very slowly.
Things implode, to the point where you've just got riots in the street globally and famine everywhere, and I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't think we're going to get to the famine part. I really don't. I mean, there's that shift that's going to happen, but it has to happen quickly, or else we're going to have a breakdown in everything, right? So it's coming, right? When I was in my speech, I was talking about how what led up to the Renaissance, and it was a lot of the things that we're encountering right now, a global shift in ideologies, a global shift on all of these things, the entire society shifts and evolves at once. And it happened very quickly. It happened over 200 years back then, but it also took 150 years for that period of when it started to when it ended. So I look at ours as starting when the computer and the internet came out. When we started getting personal computers in the 70s, that's when our Renaissance started, in my mind. And
the information age, I guess you could call it.
Yes, and it's happening so quick. Even the AI adoption is happening much quicker than the internet adoption happened. And and the blockchain is
isn't it?
The blockchain is the accounting mechanism that all of it lays on. So it's coming.
AI is probably the one thing that actually people are going to start screaming that we need blockchain for. Ironically, they'll start to get it now because this whole fake news. And it's not even paranoia, it's real, it's there.
Yeah, you need to have verifiable sources.
Yeah, and that's what, a blockchain can help provide. So interesting times. It's been a pretty heavy discussion. Happy to kick on further in the Discord if anyone wants to jump into the Based AF Discord to continue. But we might wrap up this space just to keep it nice and short in line with the other ones. And I think next week's one we'll probably try and make it for the European time zone again. So sort of, about 10 hours from now in the day. So I think it's about 2 p.m. Central Time if you're in Europe. And so feel free to join if you're up at that hour. If not, if you've got any topics you want us to discuss, maybe just drop them into the Discord, and it's always good to get some community feedback even if you can't make it. So did you guys have any closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
No, I'm good. It's been a great talk. I always enjoy talking to you guys.
That's great. You never know where it's going to head, and I can sense that everyone's struggling to understand or get our heads around what's coming, and that's one of the beautiful things of being able to do it in a shared space in a community. So that's one of the reasons I'm really enjoying being part of Base, because it is that collaborative and safe and supportive space to discuss all the weird shit that we're dealing with on an almost daily basis now. So thanks again, guys, and we'll wrap things up, and I'll speak to you guys next week. And anyone who wants to kick on, maybe jump into the Discord voice chat and we can go from there.
Sounds great. Have a good one.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!